Today, we complete our 3-round 2026 NFL mock draft with trades. Yesterday was day 1. Today is day 2. Just like the NFL draft, it's rounds 2 and 3. Below my face is my board. These are all the players I've graded in all 22. I have over 290 of them over on the Patreon, and there's a full breakdown for each player, as well as extended videos for positional rankings and some exclusive videos coming up. So let's get into this. We're going to recap the first round, but of course, it's going to be primarily the trades. The best way to experience that is watching it live, which is you can go check it out yourself. Look at these results. People are making thousands every month betting on sports completely risk-free. The secret? They're using OddsJam. OddsJam isn't just another betting app. It's turning the entire system in your favor. Here's how. OddsJam uses a strategy called arbitrage, finding odds discrepancies across the sports books. You bet both sides, and no matter the outcome, you will profit. Here's an example. If you bet $500 on Boise State to win on FanDuel and $335 on their opponent San Francisco on DraftKings, you're guaranteed to make $50, win or lose. It's that simple. With OddsJam mobile app, you'll get real-time alerts on these opportunities every day. People are making thousands of dollars every month. And to get you started, use promo code Hail Mary for 35% off and a 7-day free trial. I guarantee you'll profit during the trial. And if you don't cancel with one click, no questions asked. Don't leave money on the table. Go to OddsJam and use promo code Hail Mary and start making money the smart way. But we end up having a pretty strong start to the draft. I will let you guys use your eyes to see the players. And if you do want, if you guys are listening audio wise, I highly recommend just listening to the actual video. But it took us until pick 12 to get a trade, which does happen. I mean, just the value didn't seem necessarily right for any sort of move to be made. So I felt very comfortable with the situation at hand. And, I had the Broncos move up with the Cardinals and reshift some draft capital in order to jump the Kansas City Chiefs because I was feeling very strongly that the Chiefs were in prime striking range of Kenyon Sadiq. So I wanted to make sure that we could end up getting that value right there for us to get a huge contributor at a reasonable price and take him away from a division rival. Then we ended up having the Steelers make a monumentous trade to move up with the Chicago Bears to draft Lenore Sellers. I did end up retweaking because every time I do one of these videos, I have to redo the entire mock draft simulator. First world problem. But I ended up adding in because I ended up unclicking pick 80. And I decided because that'd be much more impactful, I ended up doing pick, I believe, 118 or 112. Whatever fourth round pick the Bears had, I tossed that in as well because I do think there needs to be some balance with that trade up. So Lenore Sellers, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback of the future. Then we had the Patriots sitting at pick 19, and I had the Vikings trade pick 122 to move up and select Connor Lew to jump the Chargers there and draft the top center who has had his struggles, but also has had some dominant wins. Of course, via that trade back with Denver, the Cardinals got Sonny Styles, kind of the player that I was really wanting for them in the first place. And then Caleb Tiernan for the Patriots. Now, Tiernan's somebody who I have regraded, and I am still very confident that he's a top tackle in the class. I know he has shorter arms, and that's what got people's feathers ruffled, but I think also I want you guys to see this through my lens. I'm trying to blend both realism and how I feel into this, and whether that would be kind of looking at the consensus mock draft and kind of making this a twist of my own. But in this situation, I use this also for when you look at the Bears and the edge rushers they draft based on Dennis Allen's specifications. I mean, we just saw the Patriots draft a tackle that has very similar concerns to Caleb Tiernan and plays with a similar style to Caleb Tiernan. So if you're saying that, oh, I don't like it, that's fine. But don't say it's a bad pick, because at the same time, if you're assuming this tackle, which to me, I do assume he's even better value than this, is worth that pick, then you're that the organization has already shown the desire to go after a player, even with that question mark. So before you guys try to say like, oh, it's a bad move, not a huge fan of it, like we need to tackle longer arms, I also try to blend in what I know you guys have done, because me just spewing bullshit is not going to be worth either of our time. And I'm trying to make this as logical as possible. So little spiel right there, but via that trade back with Pittsburgh, the Bears ended up getting Keldrick Falk. Again, the Dennis Allen build, 6'5 plus, 265 plus. But we ended up having a clean slate to the end of the first round, and let's get into rounds 2 and 3. So number 33 with the New York Jets. First pick, Fernando Mendoza. I mean, technically, if the Jets wanted to wait on QB, they absolutely could. I know you guys have talked about how a scrambling style of quarterback is necessarily a little bit more up y'all's alley. So if you guys wanted to wait till like round two and then trade back and end up getting, Cade Klubnik, who's a little bit more of a runner, I could see that working for your system. But at the same time, I'm really happy with how things ended up turning out. And so at number 33, there's a couple routes you can go. I do think defensive interior is a very underrated position to target. Now, whether we do that here or the beginning of the fourth round, I'm not 100% sure. Like, I think that, well, I mean, I would be trading up to the late third to do this, but I'm seeing a lot of players when I go through week by week and break down all the rookies, which is also part of the Patreon package, $5 a month. Like, I do try to make it very reasonably priced for the amount of work I put in. And, we built up an amazing community over there. But, I do see the amount of really garbage defensive interiors that are taking reps for the Jets. But at the same time, if we're looking at the best value based on who I have available, I really do think it's Casey Concepcion and Chris Bell. But Concepcion provides a little bit of the same game that Garrett Wilson does. And when I don't have a choice between Bell and Concepcion, that's where I end up having some issues. Or that's where I end up just, ignoring the issues and going after the best player available. But when I have two players I have in a very similar range in the top 25 of my board for both of them, I feel very comfortable going after the player that I think would end up being the better fit for the team. And that's going to be Chris Bell, 6'2", 220. He's been great at contested catch, but on top of that, great after the catch as well. He's a burner. He just provides pretty much everything that you're going to be looking for. And that's great. I mean, take some of the stress off of your quarterback or off of, Garrett Wilson and your quarterback by being able to get that outlet valve. At 34 for the Cleveland Browns. So far, we have gone after Ruben Bain and Mekhi Lemon. Some pushback on Ruben Bain, and understandably so. Trust me, please go back and look at the tape. I was a huge fan of Isaiah McGuire, and, granted, I saw how he was doing in the offseason, ended up dropping him to like a mid-second round grade, but y'all know he was my number 2 player in the class for a minute. And that was also, to be fair, that was in the context of seeing how much he demolished Broderick Jones. As a Steelers fan, I kind of understand that maybe that wasn't the most translatable thing in the world, but he's been doing a phenomenal job. So never wrong, just early. I love that phrase. But regardless, these guys are going to need to get paid. And whether it's going to be 16, 20, upwards of 30 million a year, which is unfortunately based on how the market ended up transitioning, a realistic number is that 20 to 30 range. And you can't pay both Alex Wright, and Isaiah McGuire that money when they're up for a contract. So I do think this gives you 5 years of a relatively digestible contract with a freak player that you don't get to have every year who fits your system. So we have that. And then Mekhi Lemon, some people's wide receiver 1 in the class. I respect it. He's my wide receiver 3. Really good player regardless, but offense needs help. And we're going to try the approach of like continually trying to, snipe value with quarterbacks, maybe go after it in the 3rd round again. Carson Beck, Drew Aller could end up bringing in some competition with upside with arm, like Shadur, a little bit more of the game managing type, the pocket passer, the field general, if you will. And then you have Dylan Gabriel, who's going to be a little bit more of that playmaker, but we'll see, because Dylan ended up having a pretty solid outing. I don't know if they want to give up on him just yet, but you have a lot of very good options here. And I am convinced, or I am pretty tempted to go after Ty Simpson at this point. To me, he is a very intriguing option. He's had a fantastic year. 6'2", 210. I know that's going to piss off the Shadur crowd. So, we'll look at some other options here for sure. There's not many bad options you can go with for the Browns because there's so many issues that you can solve. But one of them, you could end up going after someone who I think should be a 1st-round pick, Emmanuel Pregnon. This guy has been ridiculously solid as an offensive guard there who has tackle implications. But honestly, I can't convince you. I can't convince myself not to go Ty Simpson here. He's been pretty much a 1st-round quality quarterback. And we're getting him here at 34 on top of 2 new super weapons on our team. I don't think that if you guys are sitting at number 2, and again, Y'all really need to start contextualizing this. If you are sitting at number 2, you probably ended up giving some guys some shots and it didn't work out, which means if you do not have a top 20 quarterback in the NFL, you need to take more shots at it. We're going to go after the value there with Ty Simpson. At number 35, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Their first pick was Peter Woods. Get some help for that run defense. And I mean, I think that probably one of the prime targets right now for a trade up would be Casey Concepcion. So if we're going to look at some teams, because I know the Dolphins would be a prime target for KC, we could talk about actually the Saints. If they end up moving like Rashid Shaheed, I would love to see KC on this squad. The Giants absolutely are an underrated target to move up and select somebody to be Malik Neighbors number 2. I mean, they're just kind of scrapping it out. They're thugging the hell out of it right now with how they're playing, but they're doing a fantastic job. I mean, the Giants are showing to be a very underrated organization. I mean, the Cardinals, I'm not going to move up with them. They do have multiple second round picks based on the trade that we ended up doing with the Broncos. But I mean, we could end up reorganizing there and then getting a huge contributor for them. I'm not going to do it. I think that we're going to stick and pick with the Baltimore Ravens. I do think the best value position would just be continuing to build through the trenches. And Emmanuel Pregnon's an absolute monster. I want to see if maybe there's somebody who ends up fitting a little bit better with their build in terms of the larger guards. I think a huge fit when they end up not being probably around the 20 range or maybe in the mid-teens, depending on injuries and all that, is Vega Ione. That guy is like a perfect fit for this team. I would absolutely love that. But I do think Emmanuel Pregnon is right up there in that list. You think about how Andrew Voorhees was coming out, unfortunately, ended up having a big injury and then, ended up falling to the 7th round. But Emmanuel Pregnon has been fantastic. Another USC interior offensive lineman that is now transitioned to Oregon through the transfer portal. So huge fan of his game, extremely strong, great athlete, tackle upside as well. Like this dude's an absolutely phenomenal guard. And again, for you guys who are wondering, I mean, one of the top pass blocking grades in the country. And on top of that, when I'm watching players go up against him, whether it would be, keeping an eyeball on Zane Durant or on certain plays and certain zone schemes when he would go up against Denai Dennis Sutton, like he balled out and he was better than Isaiah World. I was watching Isaiah World and being jaw dropped by Emmanuel Pregnon. So I'm excited to get a regrade on him because I knew the potential was there. I think I was higher on him than most coming into the year, but I don't think I was not this high. But for the Miami Dolphins, their first pick, Spencer Fano, continue to build the foundation. And we're going to do it with KC Concepcion. I mean, you're losing Tyreek Hill 99% and, get a really dynamic player, my number 24 player in the class. Number 37 for the New Orleans Saints. Our first pick with Caleb Downs. I know you guys signed Justin Reed last year. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about him as like one of the worst safeties starting in the NFL. That sucks. Please confirm or deny it. But I always want to go quarterback, but the way Spencer Rattler's been playing, I'm testing out a theory of them not doing so. So I do like the idea of going after another weapon. The problem is it's just like at this point, it's a little bit of an awkward spot. Nick Harbor is that sneaky guy that could end up providing a new level of weaponry for Nussmeier and the Saints. And honestly, he is coming from South Carolina, which ended up being the last school that Spencer Rattler ended up playing at. And there's a ton of potential there. I do think I've been kind of shorting Nick Harbor, mainly because he's been out of sight, out of mind. But a really solid wide receiver that provides some new skill for this team. So we're going to go after Nick Harbor, wide receiver out of South Carolina. And number 38 for the Las Vegas Raiders, our first pick was Dante Moore. A lot of y'all loved it. I'm happy with that. That makes me feel very good. I know you guys have been complaining about your safety position. I respect it. And honestly, I have my number 28 player on my board right now, Zaki Wheatley out of Penn State, and I think that's perfect. He is extremely reliable. When the ball is in front of him, like his processing behind, not necessarily there yet. But when he is able to look and see everything going on in front of him, not many better safeties in the entire country. So we're going to go Zaki Wheatley, defensive back out of Penn State. And number 39 for the Tennessee Titans, first round pick of Jordan Tyson. Here at number 39, I mean, edge rusher probably is the position to go. I mean, based on how you guys have been playing, you still got Deni Dennis Sutton there, Zion Young. Deni really didn't pop off to me the way I wanted him to. Like, he is still very developmental in my eyes. So I do have my concerns there if you guys are wondering why he's slipping a little bit. But, I do think that the Titans need to go after someone a little bit more solidified as a solid high-end edge rusher. And there's Cleve Lubin here. And then I also see Zion Young. Zion Young's that player who could be an end of the first kind of guy. Not going to be a flashy edge rusher, but that's kind of what you want from Femi Oladejo as he continues to develop. Guys, remember, Femi ended up starting his edge journey last year. You didn't draft him for day one impact. You drafted him for the future. And Zion Young's the perfect high floor edge rusher to pair up with him. At number 40 for the New York Giants, Mansour Delane at number 8. And honestly, I'm really happy with that. Even though Cordell Flott has been doing a fantastic job, corners need to get cycled through. I got hiccups. And so I do think that's absolutely still a really solid move. I do think you could try to take a tackle like Trevor Gooseby at this point. And here's why. So firstly, the Eagles could end up trying to be aggressive once Gooseby's in sniping range. And Gooseby's played right tackle before. I want him to learn from Illuminor because he's having a little bit of a struggle year. Granted, we don't know. He's a redshirt sophomore. I don't know why it says true sophomore. He's not. He's draft eligible. Obviously, he's in here. But definitely somebody that I want to sit and develop for a year. Also, the amount of injuries to Thomas, I do think Trevor Gooseby could provide some short-term left tackle support as well. It's a good spot to just develop your future star here. He's going to be a great athlete, great measurables. We're going to go Trevor Gooseby. At 41 for the Cincinnati Bengals, Keith Abney in the first. Interior offensive line is on the mind here. And Jennings Dunker has been getting a lot of love, especially on the interior. I get that. Caden Proctor as a guard is intriguing. I mean, he is 6'7". It's hard to imagine him going to guard, but a lot of people have him there. Caden Green's a guy who I like a lot, especially at guard. Probably will end up going back to school based on him being hurt, unless he has a really hot end to the year. But there's always that chance. I mean, I'm not going to count that out, but, it is still worth mentioning. I do actually like the idea of Caden Green here, though. He is very, very, very solid. I mean, you look at him, and he's pretty much an upgraded version of Jalen Rivers, who you guys brought on. And I don't know why he's at 101. He was somebody who most people had as a true first-round grade. If he comes back healthy, this tackle class is so weak as well, and Caden has ended up getting better and better and better week over week to where I don't know why, apart from the injury, why he would end up being ranked outside of the top 75 to 100. Like, I'll just put it there. We're going to go Caden Green there to play guard, but also have that upside to play tackle because he's going to have that experience. At number 42 for the Carolina Panthers, Arvell Reese at number 10. I know you guys are celebrating. Corey Thornton's actually been doing a really good job at safety. Just going to put that out there. And I know you guys want some edge help. So let's go after somebody who now can get into a rotation rather than being the head honcho. And the value for Deni Dennis Sutton is too damn good. And then you can end up having him be more that run defender earlier on as well, which I think will provide a lot of value. We're going to go Deni Dennis Sutton, edge rusher out of Penn State. So you start out by getting Arvell Reese and Deni Dennis Sutton, two of the best Big Ten defenders in the country. At 43 for the Houston Texans, Francis Cece Mauigoa in the first round. Here in the second, part of me thinks you should just go Caden Proctor and go after the two guys who are tackles who should be converted to guards. Not going to do that. But it is certainly something that I think should be at least pondered about. I think there's something that could be value there. I don't know why the hell I'm looking at wide receiver. But I think running back, again, offensive tackle / guard, I just doubt you do it back-to-back picks. And then after that, defensive interior. There's not that many issues on this team. If I'm just being completely blunt, I don't see that many issues. But I do love Jonah Coleman. I think he's going to be a second-round pick. People are really starting to get hot on Jonah Coleman. And, I mean, he's still carrying the ball. He's had some pretty mediocre weeks. I'm just going to be honest. Like, it hasn't been necessarily pretty. And I do want him to make more people miss. but I do think Jonah Coleman is a fantastic running back, and it is an amazing pairing to Woody Marks that you guys continually want as more of your receiving back. So you end up getting those two in a tandem. Arizona Cardinals sitting there at pick 44, Sonny Styles as your first round pick. Again, we ended up having pick 44 and 52, and we ended up picking, I believe, an early fourth round pickup in that trade. Did we? I think we did with 105. So we're lurking right there at the end of the third round as well. So I know that you guys weren't a huge fan of losing that third round pick. You basically just moved back in the third and acquired a second round pick. I think that's pretty solid value. That's just me. So we do have 2 second round picks to handle here. Sonny Styles was the first. Wide receiver still could be the like one of the guys you go after. Like Jeremy Bernard's fun. CJ Daniels, very fun. I don't feel the strong connection at the moment to them. So I'm actually going to look at offensive tackle. And again, you have some slim pickings here. That's the problem. You have slim pickings, but that's this tackle class for you. The player I like the most is Alex Harkey. He's taken a huge step up in terms of competition going from Texas State to Oregon. That happens. Ended up having a pretty tough time versus Penn State. That happens. But he also had highlight plays versus Penn State. That doesn't always happen. And he might have a little bit shorter arms. I get that. But I also think that if he has to play guard, he has to play guard and he's going to do it well. He's a damn good player. I do still think he has tackle implications. So I'm going to go after him. He's a true right tackle, very experienced, and I just feel like it's the right thing to do. Now, is there a potential quarterback that you could be looking at here? Maybe. But taking a quarterback in round 2 when you have someone like Kyler Murray who's shown to be temperamental is not something I'm yet willing to do. At number 45 for the Dallas Cowboys, they took Christian Miller, Carnell Tate in the first. Let's see if we can get Eberflus, another edge rusher. I mean, Quincy Rhodes is right here. Mateo Uyunglele is as well. So I feel very comfortable with it at this point. Mateo coming off a red-hot week versus Penn State, which is amazing. Again, I do think those players are more built like guards. And when he ended up going up against someone who some people think is a guard but is a tackle in Caleb Tiernan, he also ended up being shut out. But regardless, I mean, he still has some really good tape. He looks a lot thinner this year. And so I'm excited with this newfound explosiveness as he's continuing to find his rhythm, how he's going to end up attacking this team. So Carnell Tate, Christian Miller, Mateo Uyunglele, that's a killer trio for the Cowboys. I'm very excited to see how that ends up working out. Jermod McCoy, I do worry about injuries, and so that's the reason why I haven't taken him with the Cowboys and why it's taken a little while. But for the Falcons, I feel very comfortable at this point going after Jermod. A lot of people are going to get flustered. I get it. It happens. But also, based on the teams that have gone, not many of them are going to look for a boundary corner. So this is the first one, and I'm going to take him. Again, he's going to have pretty much half a year, if that, of tape after the ACL tear. And yeah, you can get excited about what happened before, but look at what happened this past year. You look at Ben Morrison, had half a year of tape and then had a season-ending injury. So it's a little bit different, obviously. And then you also look at Will Johnson, the best corner in the NFL, my number 1 player last year when healthy. And he fell to the second, degenerative knee condition. So it really depends on the medicals. I'm no doctor, but I do know that when I see a pattern, I'm going to call it out. And I do see a pattern there that teams are a little bit worried when either the sample size is low since post ACL, and also teams just don't like injuries. So number 47 for the Chiefs, first round pick, Jeremiah Love, solved that problem. Happy to do it. And here at pick number 47, I actually like how the interior of the offensive line is playing. I don't know why guards listed as a need, but edge rusher is available, and Quincy Rhodes has too much potential talent. People love him to death. He's a spag-sized edge rusher as well at 275. His quick wins are phenomenal, and you need that. So you get a spag-style edge rusher who gets quick wins. I call that a great fit. At 48 for the Chicago Bears, first round pick, Keldrick Falk. Second round pick, I'm going Caden Proctor, and here's why. I don't know if he plays tackle or guard. Either way, he's going to help. Maybe not, but you at least got to try, right? You got to try. And Caden Proctor has great measurables, which this team is notorious for, but a lot of people believe in him as a guard. So I'm going to take the risk. We're going to go Caden Proctor there for the Bears. At number 49 for the Houston Texans, CeCe Maigoa, Jonah Coleman, Caleb Banks is here. And again, I know I have one subscriber who absolutely detests Caleb Banks. as well as CC Goa. So I'll throw a little bit of a curveball in here. This guy may play nose, but he also is able to be a 3 tech, and I love that flexibility. Caden McDonald was a big my guy coming into the year. I'm excited to see people hop on that hype train, and I am going to reward him and you guys with a star defensive interior. So Caden McDonald, Jonah Coleman, and CC Goa, a great pairing for a great trio for you guys to bring into the future. At 50 for the Los Angeles Rams, we went John Mateer and Caleb Lamu. I'm very excited about that. I know cornerback position could be something that you guys are not overly investing in, but I do think it's something that you need to look at. And AJ Harris, a lot of people have him still in their top groups. I need to reevaluate him. He was someone who I definitely had my concerns with. He still is a top 100 player for me, but I have my reservations. Chris Johnson's the player who I think is like extremely underrated at the moment. I do not have San Diego State tape, but there is something that might be allowing me to see it soon. Fingers crossed. I know I'm doing a project that not allowed to talk about, but might give us access to something that could get us some San Diego State tape. So fingers crossed we can end up doing that. I'm so excited for it, but we're going to go Chris Johnson here. I mean, the Rams are not shy for going after players that they love. This is somebody who has physicality, good in off coverage, good in press, great in zone. Just a good balance. And I think that's the type of foundation I'm looking for. 51 for the New England Patriots, Caleb Tiernan, round 1 via a trade back. And here, at pick number 51, I do think center is certainly still on the board, and I actually still might go it with Parker Brailsford. Like, to be honest, your center position is not filled for the long haul. Parker Brailsford, I don't know what PFF's smoking. I know he's 290, but we all know that players, like the real thing that matters the most is how a player is able to use their weight. And Parker was able to be very successful at 275, and he moved up to 290 for Bama. And he has been rock solid. Like, he's a true second round player. I'm gonna lock him in. And also, by the way, they're calling up some dudes from the practice squad for the edge rushing group. Are we gonna see Braden Swinson go and get his first reps in the NFL? Braden and I had some falling out off camera. So, obviously that's like one of the reasons why maybe I'll poke fun at it and all. But I genuinely wish him the best. I hope he's a friend of the show. I mean, always will be a friend of the show. Don't know what the hell happened. If you guys are asking for more context, just definitely was like a random falling out. But, I'm still rooting for his success, and we'll see what happens there. But the Cardinals, Sonny Styles, Alex Harkey, I already know I'm getting crucified right now by Cardinals fans, but that's okay. I still love y'all. But, I mean, I'm looking at quarterbacks here, and I do think that there should be Anthony Hill. Y'all don't need y'all don't need less than one linebacker, or you don't need exactly one. How about that? Do I just go 2? I mean, sometimes the value just calls for it. I know it's a super volatile position, but that's another reason why it might be worth it to go this way. The value's too good. I know the Patriots honestly should have went Anthony Hill, but I care more about Drake May than I do this defense. I trust how the defense would end up being made up anyways. We're going to do it. I already know. I'm getting crucified right now. But Anthony Hill Jr., Sonny Styles as a linebacker duo going forward, call it a W. Call it a win already. And then we'll get a receiver that can have some returning ability there at the end of the third. 53 for the Chargers. First pick, Vega Ione. You ended up trying to address your edge rushing position. Love that. We'll see if you guys end up keeping Odafe Owe for the long haul. I do still think you can it frees you to go after an edge rusher that might not be as day one ready. And that gives me some confidence either at 85 or here at 53 to go after someone who is a risk. And I'm going to go after probably Romello Height here. Again, it's somebody who has some similar skill set to Odafe Owe, but he is going to be a little bit more DPR. And that's perfectly fine in my opinion. This dude's been unstoppable as an edge rusher. So we're going to go with it. We're going to allow the Chargers to go after someone who's a little bit more role specific, but someone who is an extreme nightmare for tackles to guard. At number 54 for the Minnesota Vikings, Connor Lew via a trade up in the first cost, pick number 122. Here at 54, you guys have had some good production from your defensive interiors. It is hard for me to pass on someone with 35-inch arms. That is a little bit of a concern. But looking at the defensive backs, you got Kamari Ramsey, AJ Halsey, and Keon Saub here. For cornerbacks, you also have AJ Harris. It's hard to say no. We're going to go after the popular AJ Harris there at number 54. My only issue with AJ, because I think he's a solid corner. People glaze him. I'm not a huge fan of that. That's just like my position. But for AJ Harris's sake, his losses are really bad. Like the losses are to the point where if an NFL quarterback sees that happen, that's an instant six. Like it's to that degree. And I'm not a fan of having guys like that on my roster. But Seahawks, Denzel Boston, round one. Somebody had their feathers really ruffled about that. Also, another reason for the Chargers to go Anthony Hill because the Seahawks are lurking right here. But I honestly think that one of the best defensive minds in the entire country is Mike McDonald. So I'm looking at players who can end up being huge assets for him. And honestly, there's so many. You could wait till round 3 for it. But people are loving CJ Allen to the point where, I mean, my problem is I want to get someone who's a little bit more balanced than CJ Allen and who has some flexibility. Rodriguez is fun. He actually ended up being a bit underwhelming, but he is still like a solid, like late day 2 guy for me at linebacker. Trey Moore is an intriguing option. I love flexibility, but Whit Weeks is a freaking baller, man. I mean, outside of him getting ejected versus Florida, I think this dude is a lockdown machine, both as a pass rusher as well as an edge defender. First round, Denzel Boston. Second round, Whit Weeks. At number 56 for the Green Bay Packers, this is an easy one. We're going to take a shot on Caleb Banks. I mean, it's just, you can't say no to that at this point. Injury concerns through the roof, which is, again, the reason he's here. But, I mean, the talent, untapped, but still phenomenal. Bears, Keldrick Fall, Caden Proctor is your first picks. Again, we made a big trade with the Steelers, and so that's why we have so many damn picks. But we do still need to potentially, we could go after a DPR edge rusher, but I'm not going to do that. Defensive interior at this point could end up being the next position to target. Running back as well. I'm a huge fan of Damon Claiborne, but I do think with our 2 picks at 80 and 89, we could end up trying to big brain it. I can't really convince myself of that. Damon Claiborne is the guy who I absolutely adore. Ended up getting hurt versus Georgia Tech in overtime, and then he's been struggling to get some touches versus Virginia Tech. I think he came in, tested it out, and just was like, I'm not ready. I'm not healthy. And I love a running back that's not going to try to push, but also not going to fully push through pain because, just going to be honest, yes, you're going to get some boo-boos in the NFL, but an injured player is not really a good one. But I do think Damon Claiborne has a little bit of that home run ability that the Bears just don't have right now. Now, I could trade, but again, we have so many picks at this point. I'm just going to be happy and stick and pick. Damon Claiborne is right now my RB1 graded, but at the same time, he is my RB2 in the class. Very different from Jonah Coleman, never going to be in the same conversation. So don't think that's like Damon versus Jonah situation. It really is like Demond and Jadarian Price are the guys you're kind of arguing. And I don't know if Jadarian's going to be there at 80. I just don't. At number 58 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, first pick of the mock draft. I do think, we'll see how Newsome ends up handling himself. Otherwise, when Muhammad's healthy, we'll see how he returns. Thaddeus Dixon, not bad. Davidson Igbinosun, someone who I like. There's still DJ McKinney with some hope. Damani Jackson. Some good players. I mean, there are good players, and I really do need PFF to get the other Iowa State corner in here. What's his name? Jontez Williams? Is that what it is? Where's Jontez? Jontez Williams, cornerback out of Iowa State. So, huge fan of him. Huge fan. But could end up trying to upgrade there. Amari Washington, honestly, is a really intriguing value, but I just wish there was a tight end that's a little bit more complete. Because I love Eli Raridan. I think he'd be great for the Jaguars. But to me, this team's more of a Max Clare team. I'm not ready to take Max Clare just yet. So looking at some other guards that we can take, shout out to Josh Thompson, not Fernando Carmona. Screw that guy. Dirty-ass player. We do not respect him. But Josh Thompson, transfer from Northwestern to LSU. He's been pretty damn solid. Ended up, unfortunately, facing an absolute monolith in Peter Woods week 1. shit happens. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm really not excited about anything. Well, Jennings Dunker actually, based on the wrestling background, feels a little bit like a Cohen guy, and especially how he likes to establish the run game. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Shout out to Trevor Sigma, who's been pounding the table for Dunker this whole time. 59 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First round pick, David Bailey. Second round pick, I mean, I think linebacker still should be looked at. And I do like CJ Allen because he's a thumper, really good run defender. Needs to work in coverage, but I don't think, like right now, get somebody who can end up assisting as a heavy run defender. And then going from there, you can end up going after someone like Kyle Lewis, who I love. But CJ Allen is the more likely linebacker to be taken. And honestly, the linebacker I probably would have wanted to take for the Detroit Lions at number 60, but their first round pick was LT Overton. Very excited to build through the trenches with him. I do think center still is definitely a position to go after. Jennings Dunker probably would have been my selection for them to go that route. So looking at other routes they can go, like they're not going to go after a skilled position on the offensive side. You really would be looking at center. And it's like, I think I would probably trade out of here before drafting Jake Slaughter, which, I mean, with guys like Cassius Howell, like who needs a DPR? Honestly, the Niners could go after Cassius Howell to be a true DPR. I like that. The Bills absolutely could be going based on the value, going after someone like Cassius Howell. The Eagles, 100%. Like I do like, especially with the Eagles, these two picks. The Ravens, they have their own, but there are teams that definitely are going to be vying for a DPR right now. And especially with the Bills, like whether they go R. Mason Thomas or Cassius Howell's beside me. But I think Cassius Howell would be the one I'd go for the Bills. So I do want to make a short range trade with the Niners. And especially with the Lions being so low on draft capital, and then the Niners kind of being loaded per usual on it. I'm going to end up giving them some love. Pick number 130, and we are going to end up getting a pick back. I do think pick number 204, but no, that's a little steep. We'll go pick number 167. I think that's a fair move up based on the short range, as well as the fact that the Niners drafting Isaiah World in the first are now going to get Cassius Howell, the super quick top tier edge rusher. 3 games with 3 sacks in him, by the way. Edge rusher out of Texas A&M. As you continue to develop your first round pick in Michael Williams, Cassius Howell will end up being someone who's a little bit more of the quick win specialist. At 61 for the Buffalo Bills, first round Dylan Thieneman. Amari Washington would be intriguing to add to this squad. Honestly, not a bad idea. Linebackers still, but again, how many linebackers are we going to take? I just feel like right now we're just going to oversimplify need rather than, just going actually after players that are best. Just linebacker feels pretty used up, to be blunt. Wide receiver wise, I actually really do like the options here, but there's nobody who I really think will stretch the field enough for me to, Chris Brazzell absolutely could end up doing that. The way he's playing for Tennessee, a little bit more translatable than someone like Jalen Hyatt. I really did not like him last year. I thought that his play last year was atrocious, but Chris Brazzell is getting a lot of love. And honestly, I want a deep threat for the Bills. So we're going to kind of get our own MVS / Tyquan Thornton for him. At number 62 for the Detroit Lions again. I just want to get some extra draft capital, move around a little bit. With Garrett Nussmeier slipping to this point, maybe we could end up getting a team trying to end up vying for a top tier quarterback. Right now I'm thinking the Dolphins should be trying to make a move. I think this is the right opportunity for the Saints to go after a quarterback of their choice. I know you guys like Spencer Rattler, all right? It also is the end of the second round. This is where you bring in more competition. Yes, Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck is not that good. I just have to throw that out there. He's not to that degree. Like the glazing gets a little bit much sometimes, but with pick number 68 and 75, I think this is going to be a good move back for the Detroit Lions again. I just don't feel comfortable with the pick at this spot. And with the Lions being so thin on pick capital, I do think this is a really good opportunity for us to be able to reshift some of this. So 68, 104, and I think we can give 204 back. Damn, I didn't realize it was going to be to that degree. 130, you're moving up 26 spots. I think that's perfectly reasonable. And then we could actually end up probably giving back something else as well. But for the time being, let's not overcomplicate it. The Dolphins end up making a move up. Their first picks, Spencer Fano, Casey Concepcion. Their selection here at 62, Garrett Nussmeier, high upside quarterback out of LSU. At 63 for the Colts, we went Avion Terrell in round 1. If you guys do make this type of push, you absolutely are not going to be getting rid of Daniel Jones. But I do think edge rusher and defensive interior positions a target, and a lot of people love Amari Washington. He was number 4 on Feldman's freaks list. So we're going to get someone who has a crazy untapped potential there. Also some edge rushing reps. Like one of the few reps that I saw blow up Caleb Tiernan's anchor was Amari Washington just pinning his ears back and going for a bull rush. At 64 for the Eagles, Amari Washington would have been great to develop for a year. Went Colton Hood in round number 1. We have back-to-back picks as well. I do think going after defensive interior is 100% on my radar. Like there's Brandon Cleveland, who I love, Lee Hunter, who I actually have been a little bit disappointed with. The more I watched him this year, I do think when he added 10 pounds, it got a little scary. Skylar Gill Howard is a player who I really, really like and someone who I'll probably try to feature in this episode. The player I'm looking at here is Big Citrus, Dom Orange. He's been banged up a little bit this year, and I do worry about that. But for the Eagles, you allow him to kind of find his own. He is 6'4", 325. With Jordan Davis coming up on a contract in the following year, as well as Moro Jomo, you need to have something positive going for you. And Dominique Big Citrus Orange at 64 is impeccable value. So it's number 65 for the Eagles. Went Colton Hood, Dom Orange. I feel like that's just a really solid foundation. Here at number 65, I do think you can go after offensive tackle if the value is there. The problem is I don't think it is. Also, very intriguing. Where's Virginia? Okay, Tomas Remak is right there. I do think that they screwed over my boy. They screwed him over big time. But edge rushing talent, I don't think Joshua Joseph's out of the question at this moment. Like, you do need to have longer term options, in my opinion, at edge, more than honestly what people like to talk about. But I will end up going after still Miles Kitzelman. I hope he needs to fix that drop rate big time. But he's the best blocker in all of college for the tight end group at the moment. And he is somebody who is, when he's not dropping the freaking ball, a fantastic tight end as a route runner as well. So we're going to go Miles Kitzelman for the Eagles there at 65. He also fits. So you guys are probably going to be wondering, why not the other tight ends? The Eagles like 255, 260 plus, and that's where Miles Kitzelman sits, where not many of these other tight ends that are in the conversation really do. Cleveland Browns at 66, Ruben Bain, Mekhi Lemon, Ty Simpson. A full array of just goodness. I love how that ended up panning out for you guys. So looking at the players who are available, Drew Shelton, to have him play guard, would be a really intriguing option at this point. I actually think that's probably what I do. Like, I don't think there's very many players who provide the value that a Drew Shelton would as a guard. Like, he's just not played well as a tackle, in my opinion. I think he's a true guard, and I think he's a damn good one too. Like, he is someone who's also built to play tough. He's just a player who's just very, very fun. So we're going to go after Drew Shelton there to play guard for y'all. At number 67 for the Baltimore Ravens, an unexciting draft, Peter Woods, Emmanuel Pregnon, which is not normal for you guys. You guys are always going for the exciting picks, right? But, honestly, there's not many picks that I think would be bad at this moment. Honestly, boundary corner. Like, D'Angelo Pons, you guys are already playing with Jair Alexander on the field. D'Angelo is Velcro-y. Like, this dude is sticky in coverage. Look at this. 39.6 passer rating right now when targeted. That's the exact same as you threw it into the dirt every time. I'm going to show love to my boy. You guys are already making it work with a player who has a similar stature to him. Velcro needs to add some pounds, but he plays with so much physicality that you forget that that's an issue. At 68 for the Lions, Jake Slaughter's here. I prefer to go after Lyndon Cooper, who I really love. He is my number 14 player, granted with an asterisk, so we'll see where he ends up. But Jake Slaughter, I think, is more realistic to go in this range. This team needs a center. We're going to take one there. At 69 for the New Orleans Saints, Caleb Downs and Nick Harbor. Garrett Nussmeier was selected at 62. I did not want to make that move up, so hopefully you guys are happy with that. Mickey Loomis loves his bigger edge rushers, so let's see if we can find one. Anthony Lucas up there. Clev is a little bit undersized, so I don't think he's going to be on the menu, so to speak. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna roll back here a little bit. Akeem Mesidor absolutely could be, but I think Anthony Lucas has better measurables. And for true pass rush win rate, I don't know what the hell happened versus Illinois, but he's still a very solid edge rusher statistically that we're gonna go after and provide some extra edge rushing upside there. At 70 for the Vegas Raiders, first pick Dante Moore, second pick is Zaki Wheatley, third pick we're gonna go for the defensive interior position. And I mean, looking at guys who are here, there's so many different styles of player. Like, I love Brandon Cleveland. Where's Brandon Cleveland on my board? He was coming into the year number 49 on my board. So, like, there's still guys who are obviously being updated. I'm not going to just completely trash every eval because there's 2 or like up to 5 games played. Hate to say it, there's not enough for us to make final decisions on certain people. But I'm going to go with it. I mean, he's a top 50 player to me, and you're getting him here in the third. If you guys are wondering what his size is, 6'4", 315. And he had a slow start to the year, but he has really turned it on, and he's turned it up. Brandon Cleveland, the selection there from North Carolina State. At number 71 for the Tennessee Titans, we went Zion Young, Jordan Tyson. Joshua Joseph's still here. I feel so bad. I love him to death. I might go another wide receiver because the value is so damn good. It's like so good. We'll see if there's some defensive interior movement with Jeff Simmons. I hope not. For y'all's sake, I hope not. I do think running back is on the board here because you just can't trust with all these injuries. Obviously, literally the Tulane running back. Why am I forgetting his name off the top of my head? I keep having Mekhi Hughes sitting there. But regardless, he came into the league without freaking MCL or something like that. So injuries have been piling up. I think Jadarian Price would be a really fun option for this team. Like, provide some explosiveness there. Jadarian's a damn good back. I don't know why people would shade Jadarian Price. I think right now he is my RB4. So, showing a lot of love there to Jadarian Price, who can end up providing a ton of value and take some more stress off of Cam Ward. 72 for the Houston Texans, CeCe Marigoa, Jonah Coleman, Caden McDonald. With Joshua Josephs here, I do think a team needs to make a move. They need to go and get him. So who needs a pass rusher? God damn, nobody. I mean, the Patriots are the first team, but I love Caleb Lubin to him. So, like, I'm probably just going to take that at that point. Man, this is why the edge rushers are not going. I've taken edge rusher, especially like these smaller armed guys like R. Mason Thomas, sub 32 inches. Joshua Joseph has great measurables, but it's just hard to, justify it. But for the Texans, I mean, we already went after running back. Tight end is a very underrated position to target, in my opinion, but I don't think you guys are going to do it. Defensive back is not out of the question with Chauncey, but, Jalen Smith hopefully gets healthy and gets better. Like, genuinely, we're just going to go back to the offensive line and just go after the best one that's left. Jaden Roberts has the most upside. I don't want to go for upside for this team. I'd rather go after floor, just personally. I don't think that's the right move to continue to push something that's not necessarily there. I'm actually going to go after Lyndon Cooper's just probably somebody who, I want to go Lyndon Cooper for you guys. I don't know if I can. Chris Adams, though, I don't know why, like, he's going to transition to guard. He's having issues at tackle at Memphis, and I think it's probably because he has sub 32 arms. But this dude on the interior of the offensive line is a freaking savage. Great mobility. He, like, plants dudes into the dirt. I mean, IQ-wise can take some improvements, but honestly, I'm going to do it. We're going to have Chris Adams at guard. I think he's going to take a huge, fuck you too. He's going to take some huge steps up in the All-Star Bowls when people in the All-Star circuits, when they end up using him at the position he's supposed to be. And right here is where guys are going to take shots. I mean, last year's Dylan Fairchild, not the guy who's out of position, but I'm just saying in general, those like players that on the interior of the offensive line, speaking of Dylan Fairchild, that might not be like exactly worth that pick, but ends up being still worth the shot. At 73, the Bengals have gone Keith Abney and Caden Green. Again, people have just been like leaving Caden Green out of the equation. Feel free to do that. He's going to end up making y'all feel a little silly. But like Kenyatta Jackson is the type of player, like he is exactly the archetype of edge rusher this team looks for. And he's a higher floor edge rusher, in my opinion, to where I feel very comfortable with someone of his build at this point. Funny to see Jackie Marshall listed here as an edge rusher, but like, I mean, honestly, at this point, I love my boy Malachi Lawrence, and he's up to 260. We're gonna do that. We're gonna go Malachi Lawrence, Pookie Bear. We're gonna do it. Nigel Lee Kelly is gonna be the placeholder, who also has really long arms, by the way. Nigel Leake's a damn good player as it is, but I don't have enough on him, especially with the teams they've played, for me to draft him in the first 3 rounds. But we're going to go Malachi Lawrence, who is my number 6 player on my board. He's 35-inch arms, 263. Just somebody who I need to see with this new body because it's 13 pounds heavier than last year to be able to like really understand, because I loved his fluidity. He felt like Dallas Turner, and then added some pounds to him. 74 for the Panthers. Deny Dennis Sutton, Arvell Reese to start it out. I do think going after a weapon at this point, just the value is perfect. I mean, you look at CJ Daniels, Jeremy Bernard, you can't say no to either of them. CJ Daniels is just so damn good. I'm going to go CJ Daniels. I mean, just somebody who can attack every level of the field. Obviously famous for his highlight reel one-hand catches, 6'2", 205. The dream guy to have is your wide receiver 3. I mean, wide receiver 2 even. At number 75 for the Dolphins, made a move up for Garrett Nussmeier, Casey Concepcion, Spencer Fano. I mean, killer group. Killer group. All offense, though. We need to focus on some defense, all right? Like, this defense ain't good. We can look at the defensive interior, and the value is still so good. I mean, you talk about Tim Keenan. I mean, you talk about Lee Hunter. I mean, again, Lee's been fantastic. It's just a little less explosive. I got to give credit to Marina Sands. She's been on my ass about Lee Hunter, and I just didn't take into account that he gained 10 pounds in his move. But I feel very comfortable getting some picks back. Again, we only have 4 picks left in the draft, and I ended up making that move strategically for that reason. But I wanted to get the best value. I'm looking at Jeremy Bernard here, and he needs to go. I do think a team like the Broncos absolutely are a front runner for Jeremy Bernard. I'm also looking at the Steelers that need to get a reliable wide receiver 2/3. And for the Steelers, maybe you could end up waiting, but I do think there's a noticeable drop off after this. And so this is going to be such a short range trade. And again, the Steelers ended up getting pick 118 back in that trade. So it's going to be such a small trade here. I think maybe it takes 176 to go through. It might be a little too expensive, but we're going to end up making it happen. We're going to have the Steelers move up a couple spots and end up moving up to select Jeremy Bernard, who I think is ridiculous. I mean, just such a good floor, man. Such a good floor. Well worth it there at 75. 76 for the Broncos. They're like, we missed out on Jeremy Bernard. The first pick, Kenyon Sadiq. That's why we ended up reorganizing our picks, getting the Cardinals' 3rd round pick via, that trade. I do think you could try to still go after Antonio Williams here. He's just had a bit of a struggle year. Still a very good receiver. I mean, honestly, still a very good weapon. Just has been a little bit slow coming off that injury. Jacoby Lane, definitely could see him. Elijah Surratt, I just don't think he has the exact speed. Ian Strong, I actually put him some early first. He has some crazy, I think, career contested catch statistics. This dude's a really good vertical threat. But I don't really think that's going to provide too much value to Bo Nix, even though it's what they're trying to do is develop him more as that, as that deeper passer. I like Joshua Josephs here just because the value is right. If you want to look at the running backs, I still think you can go on day 3 with a Terrion Stewart, who finally is being used, and then randomly he's good. Crazy. Or Le'Veon Moss. That's going to be a day 3 target for me, for you guys. But linebacker's good value here. We went Kenyon Sadiq in the first. We're going to go after linebacker here. Harold Perkins would be crazy, but I'm going to go after the best linebacker, in my opinion, left on the board, and that's Kyle Lewis out of Pittsburgh. Undersized, but fantastic floor. I think I've used that word 60 times this episode. Please take a shot every time I do so. But Kyle Lewis, the value is right. He's somebody who I have in my top 25, but just at 225, it's hard to justify it over some of these other guys who have a little bit more hype to them. At 77 for the Dolphins, Spencer Fano, Casey Concepcion, Garrett Nussmeier. As I was saying, I feel very comfortable going after defensive interior based on us also getting that extra value by that trade back. And I'm going to go after Lee Hunter. I mean, back-to-back years of really, really good play. And again, taking a step up this year for Texas Tech in terms of being a run defender. But I also do think they should lose a little bit of weight to get back down to 320 and be a bit more balanced. And number 78 for the Falcons, Jermod McCoy in the second round. I mean, it'd be a little sexy to go after Joshua Joseph, pair him back up with JPJ, but it looks like you guys have your edge rushing position for once in history actually kind of solved. So I'm going to go Lyndon Cooper. You guys actually like your center. He's done a lot better. It was a rough start to the year, in my opinion, but wide receiver-wise, you could go after value with Antonio Williams. I know offensive tackle, you guys have been wanting some contingency plans. Not the class to do that, unfortunately. Defensive back, you guys have a really good safety core that's young. Honestly, a nose. A nose is needed. I mean, let's free up freaking, I'm forgetting his name, Rook Arorojo. Like, let's free him up. Free Rook. Hashtag free Rook. He's not free just yet. But, I mean, I love Tim Keenan. If you want to get a nose plug, that's Tim Keenan. But let's see. Can we get somebody who's a little bit better as a pass rusher? I think Darrell Jackson is probably going to be a little bit more in the, like, alley of that. But I love Tim Keenan. I like him more than Darrell Jackson. We're going to go Tim Keenan. Just such a high floor player. I mean, again, just a massive plug. And now you get a free Rook to do shit that he should be doing. So, good spot there. 79 for the Chiefs. Jeremiah Love, Quincy Rhodes. Just two key players. We're going to go after receiver here. And you guys like Tyquan Thornton. Let's get some size to it as well. 6'3", 211, deep threat, contested catch threat. Ian Strong out of Rutgers. Want to show him some love in this episode. Chicago Bears, Keldrick Fall, Caden Proctor, DeMond Claiborne. Really good group. I know you guys have been calling for a linebacker as well. Harold Perkins would be nuts, but that just doesn't feel like the linebacker style you go after. What's Rasheem Biles built like? Oh my God. Like that whole entire linebacking core is great, but man, they're tough to translate to the NFL. Caleb Elam's Orr also had a really good week, I think, versus SMU. He balled out. Not saying that's what you should go after here, but I also know that there's another BYU linebacker that's getting some good buzz. Definitely want to check him out. God, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head too. But for the Bears, I mean, I feel very comfortable with how we've addressed these players so far, these positions. Like, I don't see too much room for improvement. Safety, to be fair, we could get some better value. And you have Kamari Ramsey here. He's been playing too much in the slot, which could probably scare some teams away. AJ Halsey doesn't have the range necessarily. So I'm going to go Keon Saab. I used to go him for the Bears in round 2/3 all the time. Let's get some range in our secondary there with a player who's finally taking that step that we were waiting for. Commanders at 81. We took TJ Parker in the first. A lot of areas where you can end up getting some help, but I'm just going to double down. You guys didn't do it at all in the last draft, and the value is here. Best player available. So we're going to go after TJ Parker and Joshua Joseph, two completely different styles of edge rusher. 82 for the Rams, Matir, Lamu, and Chris Johnson, a big riser there. At this point, I mean, let's just go after. We actually did go after corner. I'm tripping balls. Let's go after linebacker at this point. Let's do it. Finally. It's just the Rams don't value linebacker. Jake Golday is definitely somebody at 240. He's going to be that guy who's next up. Like Rasheem Biles is undersized. Rodriguez, a little bit concerning. Harold Perkins could be that guy where I just feel like McVay's going to be like, we need, like Harold Perkins has too much talent. Let's just find a way to use him. And with all the edge rushers you have, I think it's a great opportunity for Harold to have situational pass rushing ability without him being like thrown to the fire. We're just going to go best player available there with Harold Perkins, who would have been great at number 83 to the Patriots. How do I do this to the Patriots? Tiernan and Parker Brailsford so far. We fixed the offensive line. We're going to go edge rusher here, though, with Club Lubin. Might as well. Unless we see some massive progression from the edge core, you need to go after a top-tier edge. And Clev is someone who will take as high as a second. But, I mean, these guys are just going... We're trying to take him off the board as soon as possible. 84 for the Broncos, Kenyon Sadiq, Kyle Lewis. Not an exciting group, but we're going to go back to the wide receiver room. We're going to go Antonio Williams. Even though he's been banged up, he is still excellent value and feels like I don't know, it's an intangible thing, but he feels like the perfect fit here. 85 for the Chargers, Romello Height, Vega Ione. Would have loved a center, but honestly, just grab one in free agency at this point. I could go AJ Halsey here based on the value, but honestly, tight end wise, now we can start trying to go after something. I do want to get someone who's a little bit more blocking based. And so I'm actually going to go after my guy in Eli Raridan. Shout out to Matt Hibner. We're going to boost his ADP here. But Eli Raridan, he is number 52 on my board coming into the year. Great blocker, pretty much there with Kitzelman. And, he's been utilized a lot more this year. PFF, please end up getting him into the mock draft sim. 86 for the Vikings, Connor Lew, AJ Harris. We're going to go after the defensive backs. It's fallen perfectly for us. AJ Halsey has been amazing for LSU, transfer from Houston. We're going to get the proper value there. 87 for the Seahawks, Denzel Boston, Whit Weeks. Linebacker, we could go after another one, but instead, I'm just going to go after a top-tier corner here. I love Iggy. I think you can end up working with him. The penalties, if I'm not mistaken, have dropped a bit, but 3 pass breakups on the year. Still someone who I see as a potential top corner in the NFL. 88, Green Bay Packers, Caleb Banks, round 1. Another team I definitely think could be looking at a corner for the long haul. And you look at Dalen Everett, but I'm going to look at Malik Muhammad here. A very balanced corner. We'll see if he ends up coming out based on injury and stuff. Probably unlikely. If that happens, we'll go DJ McKinney. But we're going to go Malik Muhammad there, cornerback out of Texas. 89 for the Bears, Keldrick Falk, Caden Proctor, Devon Claiborne, Keon Saab. Honestly, a very reliable group of players. So at this point, I think defensive interior is where we're going to get the most value. And I talked about him earlier. Skylar Gill Howard might be my guy. The problem is you guys do like size. Pause. Like the problem that is a little bit of an issue for me. And I don't think that we're going to have the opportunity to see CJ Brevard. I think is it CJ Brevard? Cole Brevard, sorry, out of Texas. He was someone who was top 50 for me coming into the year. I don't think we're going to have the opportunity to see him come out. But we're going to go after Dale Jackson here, defensive interior out of Florida State. Great value for him, a true, bigger player that could end up essentially being what you're kind of hoping for when you ended up making some moves in free agency for some defensive interior talent. 90, Jacksonville, Jennings Dunker. We have a lot of picks coming up, so buckle up, buckaroo. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I think the value for Kamari Ramsey is too good. I honestly trust this defense to end up utilizing him. We're just going to go best player available. Buccaneers, David Bailey, CJ Allen. We're going to go tight end here. Max Clare, the value is too damn good. And honestly, fits the team like hand in glove. 92 for the Jaguars, another team. Honestly, I should have went Max Clare there. But you look at Jack Endries, probably going to be right on the money for what this team will be looking at. We'll see how they end up handling, a 5-week loss of their starting tight end. Daquan Wright, though, another player who's very underrated. Very good receiver. Great after the catch, too. Eli Stowers, a really fun one. Michael Trigg's been balling out, though. Honestly, Michael Trigg's going to be the weapon here for the Jaguars. We're going to just continue loading up there. 93 for the Bills, Dylan Thieneman, Chris Brazzell. We're going to go after the linebacking room at this point. We're going to get a true Mike here in Jake Goldday, 6'4", 240, great athlete. We'll see how he ends up panning out. 94 for the Niners, Isaiah World, Cassius Howell, really reliable players overall. Could look at a center at this point if you want to, like Iapani. I know a lot of people love him. I hate his anchor. Dude gets backed up like nothing. Like nothing will end up backing him up. That's what I'm saying. But defensive back, I'm looking right now, and Bray Hubbard's a big hitter, but Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, this dude has like a ton of interceptions. I don't understand forcing completion rate 0, but he's had like actual PBUs. But dude's been absolutely locked down, and I want to get some competition there for Marcus Siegel, who's had some ups and had some downs. So we're going to do that there in the third. 95 for the Colts. I know a boundary corner is still on y'all's mind, but we ended up getting it in the first round. Defensive interior there in round 2. Round 3, we're going to go after an edge rusher, and this one has to be a little bit more of the archetype of something that would go into a Lou Amarino defense, and we're going to go Akeem Mesidor, edge rusher out of Miami. A little bit on the shorter arms, but we're into almost day 3 territory. I think it's crucial there. We do need to make a move up with the Patriots. I want to see how have they drafted. Tiernan, Brailford, Lubin. We need to get a weapon. And honestly, there's some very good ones that are left. Honestly, Jacoby Lane would be a really fun one for him. Chase Roberts as well. I know that some of my people want some move ups, so we'll end up making some moves. And honestly, this is a perfect spot because for the Eagles, we've drafted, okay, Dick. We'll go back to the Eagles. Corner, defensive interior, tight end. That is kind of like the standard. We could go after offensive tackle right now. Austin Barber has experience at right tackle. Probably going to be something that you want to, test out, test the waters there. Honestly, Tomas Remark, I mean, he's had some like weird performances. He got put back to guard there in those weeks, but somebody who could end up having some upside at offensive tackle. I'm not going to do that here because I don't think he's earned it. But Emil Wagner, great athlete. He's had some struggles, but he's gotten up to 300 pounds, and he's a true right tackle. It's worth the risk there at 96 just to kind of test out and see how that goes. 97 for the Vikings, Lou, Harris, Halsey, kind of the trio that you're looking for. I'm going to get just a little bit more talent in the defensive interior with someone a bit larger with Dante Godfather Corleone. Steelers at 98. We have Lenore Sellers and Jeremy Bernard. Just kind of exactly what we need. Cornerback-wise, there's still very good value here, and I think I'm going to take a shot on Domani Jackson. He's just had a bit of a struggle year this year. Was hoping for a little bit better, but still has that round one potential. Back with the Eagles, this is where I'm trading up with the New England Patriots. They just have a ton of picks. I mean, look at this. I think it's 4 in the 4th round. I think for the Eagles, it's going to be actually a pretty nice swap. We're going to go 99 and 178 for, that feels a little bit extreme. We're going to go 99, 136 for 115, 119. And I think we'll also toss in another pick in here like 197. So ends up kind of keeping a balanced trade. I mean, you can end up tossing in 158. Sure. Feel free to do that. But basically, the Patriots have recomped their picks. And so of the Eagles, the Patriots end up making their move and are going to be getting their star wide receiver. Choose whichever one you want, but I'm going to go after Jacoby Lane, who has a true chance to be an ex-receiver in the NFL. And number 100 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, we have Jennings Dunker, Kamari Ramsey, Michael Trigg. Just a very reliable group of guys. I mean, we also do have some quarterbacks like Kate Klubnik, Drew Aller that are slipping. Unfortunately, that's kind of the nature of the game. If you don't take quarterback, these guys do slip. But I do think this is the prime opportunity for a team to just go up and get their guy. The Jets got their guy. The Browns ended up getting their guy. I mean, the Cardinals could make a move right now. The Raiders got their guy. The Panthers have not. We'll move up with, we've done that with the Panthers. I don't want to cause drama. We'll do it with the Panthers. The Jaguars are trading with the Panthers here. They'll go with 149 to make that trade happen, and they'll end up getting, pick number 192 in return. I think that's fair enough. So Panthers move up, and they have selected Arvell Reese, denied Dennis Sutton, C.J. Daniels. Honestly, let's go Carson Beck instead. I mean, pair him back up with C.J. Daniels. Why the hell not? So that's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching, showing the love that you always do. We'll see you later. Peace.